Alamaze is a turn-based play-by-mail game, or in this case, play-by-email strategy game put out by Old Man Games that features more than 100 distinct commands covering aspects of ruling a kingdom in a fantasy realm. There are commands for military engagement between kingdoms, wizards to cast myriads of magical spells, political figures to assume control of another's region, an array of magical artifacts to assist efforts, and a streamlined economy system to manage the necessary details of ruling a kingdom. Alamaze won Best Play-by-Mail Game of the Year in 1988 at Origins and Gen Con. Yeah, it hasn't been up for many awards lately since that play-by-mail gaming is not exactly called popular. First, there's getting into the game. Your first game of Alamaze should be the tutorial. You will play the elves against the dwarves on a special small map with only 2 regions. The game is limited to 7 turns. You play through the tutorial as many times as you feel necessary to get the basics. You will need to play the tutorial several times to get used to inputting your turn, then analyzing what your results are and how to play your next turn. Luckily, you don't have to wait long for your next turn in the tutorial, as it will be populated less than 1 minute after you hit the ready button. Once you have that mastered, or at least not look like a total noob, then it's off to find a game or make a game yourself. There are sometimes games that are specifically set up for new players to join. I joined up on one of them, but while I waited for the 10-player game to be filled, I joined a regular game. And that is not always a good thing. More to come on that. When you join a game, your first turn is basically the setup of your kingdom and the information on your capital and other population centers, your starting characters, and the victory conditions, etc. The time between turns, when you must have your turn in by, can vary from 24 hours to a 2-week turnaround. But the good thing about the game is that if everyone has their turn submitted, their turns will automatically be processed, so you don't have to wait that 1.5 weeks to go when everybody has their turns in very early. In theory, you could be playing a game every hour or less if everyone gets their turns in. This is especially true when it's a one-on-one game with a friend or at least someone who has a lot of time on their hands. I started a 10-person game for my first play against real humans towards the end of July of 2024, and at that time I had 4 turns. It started looking good for me at the beginning, then my noobness kicked in and things went down from there. At turn 0, I started out as a Lizard King. I was put up in the far west and on some islands. Luckily, this is the Ice Age variant and the seas are totally frozen over, so I don't have to worry about needing boats across the sea. My mighty king Akro starts off in a nice sized town as a capital. That should change soon, I hope. It even had a temple in it. Too bad this is basically a pagan variant and the temples are just an eyesore. At least there's news of a powerful artifact called the Ring of Power. But it is halfway around the land for me, so it's not going to come into play anytime soon. My first official turn had my troops going out looking for population centers to slaughter, or acquire, and add to the Lizard Kingdom. We hired a brigade of Norsemen to fill out the 4th Legion, and our 3rd Legion discovered a population center ready to be plucked. News came in that the first seat in the Global Council was filled by the Gnome Empire, because they paid for this seat with over 16,000 gold. Always knew gnomes were rich. Guess that means I should vie for a seat too. Off to do more exploring and find some special places with nice juicy treasure. The second turn started out with great news. I was able to win the next seat on the council with less than half of what that gnome did. Who's the smart one this time? We had our governor move to a town called Scorpion's Lair, and we should be able to talk to them into joining our great empire. It looks like we have lots of gold to spend freely, but our lack of food could come back and haunt us if we don't do something about it. Our spies found a new village just when our legion spotted it as well. We also discovered an artifact called the Cloak of Disguise, but nothing of its owner. Artifacts just don't appear in our capital on a whim. Turn 3 starts out with the Underworld Kingdom getting a seat on the council, leaving only 2 seats open. We also saw 2 emissaries from the Druid Kingdom arrive at our southwesternmost town. This does bear foreboding. The good news is that our 2nd Legion stumbled upon an unusual sighting. During the midday meal, a soldier hastily returned to camp to report an uncommon scene in the area, and he is sure his superiors will want to be investigating it. This encounter seems to be excellent difficulty. The other good news is that the gods awarded us with a scrying mirror, and we should put that to use as soon as possible. Turn 4. We received horrible news. While trying to incite or persuade the populace of the Druid majority city Emerald, there was no apparent support for the local regime, and there was no apparent radical body in favor of changing the local regime either. Governor Garas was incarcerated by the guards in the angry throng as he was addressing them and arrived dead before he could be persecuted. We will miss, what's his name, dearly. It also seems that the Ancient Ones have taken the second to last seat on the council, and there should be a majority bidding war for the final seat. Also, our foul enemies managed to force the southern towns to rebel against us, just as we acquired the town of Scorpion's Lair too. With enemies coming from the south and the east, the walls are starting to close in. This is more or less how a game of Alamaze starts out. I know I should have started differently in some areas, but this is only my first player game. I should have definitely read the rules and the get started rules. I didn't, and I missed out on some prime scouting time. If things keep going like this, I don't know if I'll make it to turn 10, much less win the game. But you can call this a learning experience. For more information on the game Alamaze and how to join and play for free, I'll drop some links below, as well as an invite to the Play-by-Mail's Discord, where you can get more information on not only Alamaze, but other Play-by-Mail games. Look at the video too for more information on the history of Play-by-Mail gaming. Bye.